ready to get started. Woo. So this is the interest meeting for the Provision Powers Reading Summer Program. This is a Families for His Glory initiative. First, I want to start off by welcoming everybody who came out on this frosty Tuesday night. You know, it might snow, which means Hampton Roads will be shutting down shortly. So thank you for coming out. I hope you got your bread and milk, because y'all know it's going to happen. I'll go ahead and get started. We're going to start with an overview of the organization. So Families for His Glory started in 2015, and it was basically designed to provide an easy way to connect families to resources. Healthy families build healthy communities build healthy cities and counties, and healthy cities and counties, healthy states. Y'all get the picture, but that was the goal. And so our main service initially was an online resource directory, and we have a secondary aim to provide direct support services in any area we can, especially to underserved and unserved populations. And so I think 2015, 2016 we didn't do a whole lot, and then 2017 we tried a whole lot, and we were able to serve a lot of people and help some people through some rough times. And now we are looking to do something new that we are hoping will grow and serve even more people. We are a very small volunteer-run organization at this point, but as you know, great things come from small beginnings. So the next slide, it's just a screenshot from our website. If y'all haven't visited the website yet, this is the resource directory page. This is just like a main page of different resources for spiritual, emotional, mental, physical, occupational, social, and financial. Basically trying to target areas that people tend to struggle in. And on the next slide, we'll talk about what we were able to accomplish in 2018. So I broke it down by quarters. First quarter, we were able to serve students through tutoring and providing transitional housing assistance. So we were able to have a location where we actually helped several people during times of homelessness. In the second quarter, we did a community outreach event about homeschooling. We did a Q&A session. I actually ran into one of the ladies who attended a few weeks ago, and she remembered me and she remembered the workshop. A lot of people found it very helpful. Third quarter, July through September, we were able to provide some consultations. So as I'm a homeschooler, and I have also worked in the public school system, a special education teacher, so I'm very familiar with different areas. I've tutored, and so we talk with parents who are thinking about homeschooling, exploring their options, and we find out, what's the best fit for the family, because I love homeschooling, but I know it's not for everybody. And we were able to do some additional tutoring as well. And then the last quarter, we saw some more consultations and evaluations. What we are hoping to do in the next year, Provision Powers Reading. I am super excited about this. All summer long, we are planning to be right here in this building, providing reading intervention for struggling readers to get them to proficiency, because we believe that in 12 weeks, we can move our students at least a half grade level up, if not more, which is pretty awesome. During that time, a little bit before, we are going to be building partnerships, because what we'd like to do in the school year is expand into schools, work with other nonprofits, work with community organizations. Basically, anywhere that we can comfortably serve and fit in, that's where we want to be, because kids are everywhere, and kids that need help with reading are everywhere. I talk to people, I talk to community organizations, I talk to people in public school, I talk to people who homeschool, I talk to people in private school, and there are a lot of kids out there who need help. So, the next January, because we like to serve families again on different levels, we're looking to hold a health and wellness fair. So, throughout the year, we want to expand our online directory to target direct topics and engage families and provide resources in multiple areas, as well as continue tutoring. And if we find other services, we can provide with them as well. Provision Academy. Provision Academy is the educational division of Families for His Glory. So if you hear Families for His Glory and Provision, they are not different. Provision is just a subdivision of Families for His Glory. This is where we provide the tutoring, the evaluation, the consultations about education. We specifically focus on serving neurodiverse students, and so that includes those who have autism, ADHD, processing disorders, those who are schooled in a non-traditional manner, homeschoolers mostly, for obvious reasons, I think. And our direct services include consultations, tutoring, homeschool evaluations, and as we're here today, hoping to expand into reading interventions. And so this was a post I did on social media. What if we saw differences as opportunities to learn instead of something that needed fixing? I've worked in special education since 2004, and a lot of people feel like there's stigma, they don't want their kids to be labeled. For some people, they do want to get their kids in special education services, and they're struggling. For some people, their kids may not qualify, but there's something that they're not fitting into the traditional education paradigm. And so, part of what we do is help people to shift the perception into, this is not a child that is broken. This is not a child that needs fixing. This is a child that may just need a different presentation because this is how their brain works. And so I want to share our personal reading journey. So this is about our oldest son. He is 8, he's about to be 9. And we started in public preschool because I love preschool. Preschool is awesome. They learn, and it's mostly play-based learning. I love preschool. So pre-K, kindergarten, he was there. They did letters and sounds. He can hear rhymes. So struggling readers, people with dyslexia, sometimes can't actually differentiate the sounds. And there's a really good video on that I'll share to the page afterwards. I'm gonna make a note about that. But he could do the rhyming, he could understand the sounds. He was not able to blend the words together. And so in first grade, he did know a few words, but he couldn't decode them consistently. So he'd sound out a word, and then like we'd come to the word again, and we had to start all over. So it wasn't something that was sticking. We were homeschooling by then, and there are 2 pretty good programs, evidence-based programs that we use for reading. Head Sprout, which is by Reading A to Z, they have several different programs. And Reading Eggs, which is also a pretty solid program. And he made a little bit of progress, but not a whole lot. So in 2nd grade, the first semester we were homeschooling, And that's when we found out about EasyRead. They actually have a free trial if you're going to do individual accounts at home. So it's a 10-lesson trial, and we were able to do that, and we really loved it. It was amazing. It was also $200 a month. It is $200 a month for individual home accounts. And it's worth it, because if you had a tutor come to your house every day even for 15-20 minutes, you're gonna pay way more than $200 by the end of the month. So it's very cost effective in a way, but for a lot of families, it's still out of reach. So the second semester of that school year, second grade, I actually went back to work for a little bit, and he went to a private school. They use NILD therapy. NILD actually started here in Hampton Roads. They're based out of Suffolk. It's a really good program. It's really solid. A lot of people see good results with it. Those results usually take about a year before kids start seeing consistent gains. But it's a pretty good program. He was there for a semester. He made, again, some progress, but not necessarily where he needed to be. Did you have a question?
Does NILD stand for something? Is it an acronym?
National Institute of Learning Development.
Okay.
I got the thumbs up from my Google friends. And so, yeah, it's National Institute of Learning Development. Again, great people, great program. I also looked into possibly becoming an NILD instructor. It's a little pricey. A lot of the dyslexia gold standard tutoring programs where you have somebody sitting with you require a certain amount of training that's usually in the thousands of dollars. And then this year, so he's in third grade now, we started EasyRead again in August because I knew it was worth it. Based on my research, based on what I was learning about dyslexia, I knew that it would cover what he needed to cover. And so we started in August, and my favorite moment was at Thanksgiving. We went over to my in-laws, and the kids were playing a game. We were all playing Taboo, and the kids wanted to take their turn. You know, Taboo is you have to read the words that you're trying to get across and the ones that you can't say. And it was, like, I cannot express how good it felt to see him be able to participate with his cousins because he could read the words. Like, he didn't have to ask for help. And so this is just from August to November. And he was actually reading pretty well by October. And so he's just continuing to see gains. I'm pretty sure that by the end of this year, he'll be very fluent. And so we're gonna continue with EasyRead and looking forward to the results. Reverend Allen, hi, how are you? Jay, hi, how are you? Raymond, hi, how are you guys? Thanks for joining us. These next two slides are actually videos. One is an overview of the EasyRead program and how it works. The other one is a child testimonial from the EasyRead program.
Have you seen lots of guessing with the short words? Do you work through a word on one page only to get stuck on it again on the next page? Have you seen atrocious spelling, even with simple words? These are the patterns we see again and again when a child is trying to recognize words by sight rather than being able to decode them. If this all sounds familiar to you, then guided phonetic reading is the best solution available. It tackles the problem in a different way. Conventional phonics programs teach phonetic rules that often just don't work. Look at all the different sounds and spellings for just the letter A. It's impossible to memorize all of them. Because this leads to confusion, many bright children turn to sight memorizing whole words rather than bother with those phonics rules. That can work well at first, but once the text gets more complex, there are too many words to memorize and their reading collapses. Guided phonetic reading, on the other hand, has no rules to learn. We teach reading as a skill, rather than a list of do's and don'ts. This simple trick that makes EasyRead different is that we use visual images to help the child decode each word. Floating above the text, you'll see a visual image for each sound in the word. Those images help the child sound out any unfamiliar or tricky words without stress. The whole thing starts to seem easy. We call it trainer text, like the training wheels on a child's bike. It's a simple innovation, but incredibly effective. EasyRead provides a short daily trainer text session to build decoding strength week by week. It feels sort of like a visit to the decoding gym. The key to learning any skill is getting the right kind of practice. And practice should be fun. We use lots of games that are structured to develop decoding skills and get rid of nasty guessing habits. With lessons that are short, easy, and fun, kids are happy to log on each day to do their practice. You can forget any traumatic battles over reading. Each lesson is around 10 minutes long, and it takes around 90 lessons to see changes in a child's reading accuracy. Then we shift our focus to building confidence and fluency after that. We fully train and support every parent or teacher who is helping a child with the system through regular email and phone contact, along with access to free training materials. Parents and teachers are routinely amazed by the progress they see, often after years of struggle for a child. Have a look through the daily flow of testimonials on our site. You can also talk to an EasyRead parent or teacher near you. A recent independent study of schools using EasyRead concluded that, on average, it took only 120 lessons for children who were 2 years behind to catch up to the national standard. That's 2 years of progress in around 6 months of lessons. We don't know of any other reading intervention that gets these sorts of results. Many of the kids we work with have already tried 2 or even 3 other things unsuccessfully. So don't give up hope if you've tried other programs. We are confident you can see the right result. Parents and teachers using EasyRead often comment on all the changes in the children they are helping. This isn't just about passing reading or spelling tests. These kids no longer feel stupid or frustrated. They have a smile on their lips, a skip in their step, and a new enthusiasm for school. It literally changes their whole view of themselves once they can read. If you have a child who you think might benefit from EasyRead, you can do a free sample lesson to see how it goes. If you get a good response to that first contact, we unconditionally guarantee you will get a good result from the course. If you want to give EasyRead a try at home, you can set up an account immediately today from our pricing page. If you're a teacher and want to set up a pilot trial for your school, just send us an email.
So before we go to the next video, I just want to share that the guessing that they talk about with kids, that's exactly what Zhavon was doing. Like, he wouldn't take the time to even try to sound out a word. And even now, he prefer to rush through it and get through it, but he does a lot better at actually taking the time to chunk it down, decode it, and read it. I also want to comment on the cost effectiveness of training people, volunteers, facilitators that can work with the program. Basically, if you can hear sounds and you can be patient and positive with a child, then you can be a facilitator. They have training videos, as they said, they have great support built in, and just about anybody can do it. You don't need any special degrees, you don't need thousands of dollars in training. It's something that they've set up so it can be easy enough for parents to use at home. And I'll be adding the testimonial link that they were talking about, because they really do get almost daily testimonials, and the trial link as well. So that'll be it. Okay, and so now we'll see the child's testimonial.
Before I did EasyRead, I couldn't read at all. I had to even sound out the word and we all know how to spell that. But now I've done it, I'm really glad. I know how to spell lots of words. When my mum told me first about this, I said, "Mum, no, I'm not doing it. I don't like reading, it's rubbish." But then now I've done it, I'm really pleased because I can read, and well, it's just made my life better.
Well done.
So you may have noticed that the child that was speaking had an accent. So the EasyRead solution, and I think EasyRead is a great name for it because it makes reading easier, is based in the United Kingdom. The guy who developed the system, his name is David Morgan. And so a lot of the reviews and testimonials you'll see will be from the UK. The UK, from what I can tell research-wise, is actually doing a bit better than the US right now as far as developing resources and programs and facing dyslexia and other struggling readers head-on and providing services for them. I will say that we are starting to step up. In 2017, Virginia added dyslexia awareness training to their teacher requirements. It was actually the first, I got recertified that year, and it was the first year that they've done it. So I think we will continue to see people focusing on the importance of it. And I'll talk about why EasyRead is so easy, part of it. It is optimized for Chrome, and so it's easily accessible, it's online. Anywhere you can get an internet connection and get on Chrome, you can access the EasyRead program through a login. It can be used at home, it can be used in schools, it can be used in community centers. It has built-in scaffolding and assessment. And so scaffolding just means that it starts the child off, so there's a built-in assessment, it starts the child off where it's not so easy that there's no challenge, but it's not so hard that they get frustrated, and it continues to build and build, and it gets progressively harder. So one example is inside the program, they have a reading portion, and it's a bookshelf, and the bookshelf has levels. All the kids start on the first level. Well, maybe not all of it. Based on the assessment will depend on the level you start at, but we started on the first level, and now we're on the third level of the bookshelf, which is the highest level. It's engaging. Zion also has ADHD, and so what that means is the program is designed to last for 10 to 15 minutes, and it usually takes us about 20 to 25 minutes. Even so, with that, he enjoys it. He does not say, I don't want to do it. He looks forward to playing the games. He actually made a request for a car type of game, and I don't know if this was already in the program or not, but there are car type of games in there. So it's very engaging. He has certain ones that are his favorites, and then certain ones that he's like, oh man, but he enjoys it. It provides positive reinforcement. So they teach, in the training, they tell you to continually encourage the kids, because when you have children who are struggling to read, especially as they get older, there is a lack of confidence that usually comes with that. There's a feeling that you're stupid because why can't you do what everybody else is doing? But the training encourages facilitators to provide encouragement every 15 to 20 seconds. Just in case, the program itself also has built-in encouragement, and so there will be a voice that will say, excellent. And if you miss it, it'll be like, that's a tricky one, because it's in David Morgan's voice and he's from the UK. And again, like I said earlier, it doesn't require extensive training. So it is easy to help facilitate. It is easy for kids to go through the lesson, and it's enjoyable. So what we'd like to do this summer is do a pilot program. And it's basically to have a hands-on experience where we demonstrate the effectiveness that we kind of already know it has. But then we'll have data that can say, okay, we had these kids for this amount of time, and this was the result of that. Specifically, we are aiming to have 8 African American males that are rising 4th through 6th graders. We have several reading and tutoring programs for dyslexia and struggling readers in Hampton Roads. Most, if not all of them, are aimed at kindergarten through 2nd grade. Because ideally, if you catch a child early and you intervene early, then you can assist them. But then what happens to the kids who didn't get that early intervention? And so that's why we're targeting rising 4th through 6th graders. Most of them, if not all of them, will be selected from the south side of Hampton Roads because we'll be here at Mission Church for the summer. It's Norfolk in the Ghent area on Collie. And so we want to make it accessible. The students attend the program 2 hours a day, Monday through Friday. The EasyRead program is the central part of it. That's the main thing, but we also want to provide some supplements, language arts activities like writing and spelling. We want to do some social emotional activities because again, a lot of times when you have trouble with reading, that can cause you to feel some kind of way, and when children feel some kind of way, they sometimes act out, they sometimes feel bad about themselves, so we want to provide support in that way too. We're also looking to partner with some other programs to do academic enrichment. We're looking at maybe technological literacy, financial literacy, and that just goes along with the idea that we want to address multiple areas because we're not just one piece. Kids are not just academics. Because academics are affected by family, academics are affected by emotions, all of that plays into it, and so we want to help address all of those areas. So before, during, and after the pilot program, we are looking to partner with schools and community organizations to bring the EasyRead program to as many children as possible. What we're looking at during the school year is not the full-bodied summer program that we'll be doing this summer, but to provide at least that 10 to 20 minutes of EasyRead, 3 to 4, ideally 5 times a week. So our goal is to serve 8 students during the summer and 40 during the 2019-2020 school year. 40 is possibly ambitious, but I think we can do it. I think if we all work together, then we can make that happen. I've actually talked to several people in different organizations that are interested and have people that they think might be a good fit and students that they think might be a good fit. I also want to note that during the school year, although we are limiting the summer program to rising 4th through 6th graders, we wouldn't necessarily limit it during the school year. So it could be possibly any age up through high school, and we'll see how that fleshes out. So when we did the fundraiser, I found this, we did a fundraiser on Facebook for those who may not know, and I found this quote by Mary McLeod Bethune. It says, "The whole world opened to me when I learned to read." I cannot remember not being able to read. Also, my memory's not that good, so there you go. I read like I breathe. So before smartphones, which if you know me, I almost always have my phone in my hand, but before smartphones, that's because I almost always had a book in my hand. I love reading. It's my favorite. It's my absolute favorite. And it gives you a whole different perspective on life. It gives you access to educational opportunities that are unparalleled. And so I was reading up a bit more on Mary McLeod Bethune, and she was amazing. So her parents, and it's Black History Month, so this is timely. Okay, so her parents were slaves, and they were freed, but she was the first child that was born free. And this was out of either 17 or 19 kids, depending on the source. Either way, she was like number 15. It's a lot of kids. So she ended up being able to go to school, and with the support of benefactors and scholarships, She was interested in eventually becoming a missionary to Africa. She was not permitted to go to Africa because they wouldn't allow African Americans to go to Africa as missionaries. Quite interesting. And she said, all right, well, there are people in America who need me too. And so she ended up settling in Daytona Beach, Florida, and she started a school. She started a school with 5 students. She fundraised, she met with any and everybody. The school grew and grew and grew, and it became a high school, and it became a junior college, and eventually it partnered with a school for gentlemen called Cookman College and became Bethune-Cookman. Bethune-Cookman College is the first and only HBCU, historically black college and university, that was founded by a woman. And they will be celebrating their 115th anniversary this year. So the impact of this one woman was pretty amazing. She also started a hospital because in Daytona Beach, they would not serve African Americans at the hospital. So she started, when she first started the school, she focused on vocational skills, so there were nurses, and she used some of the students to start a hospital in Daytona Beach as well. She also served an advisory board that they created for African Americans in education and just all types of issues. So she was very politically involved and influential, and she served under 5 presidents. So she is beyond amazing. I was about to say kind of amazing. Nope, really amazing. And so that's kind of the spirit of what we want to operate in. We want to help everybody that we can that needs help in the area of education. And so just like Mary McLeod Bethune, we need help. We need you. Okay. So Families for His Glory needs board members. We need people who are passionately committed to serving families in as many capacities as possible, passionately committed to involving the community and making this a sustainable organization. We need program advocates, people who will talk about and share and pass on information, and if you know somebody who might be a great fit, making that connection. So we need advocates. We need sponsors. We need community sponsors. We need corporate sponsors. We need volunteers to help us develop and execute a sound program, financially sound, programmatically sound, which I'm not completely sure that's a real word. But basically we want to make sure we deliver an excellent experience. We need on-site program volunteers, and it may be that people can only volunteer 1 day a week, but if we have 10 to 20 people who can volunteer 1 day a week, that covers the whole week. And we're going to need transportation. So when I was working, I came across a young man who I believe had what they call stealth dyslexia. Stealth dyslexia is called that because there are people with dyslexia who can read, and you might not know that they have struggles. At the time, I was able to talk with the school staff, the reading specialist, and I pressed them to, look into his reading ability, because based on what I was observing, I was working as a therapeutic day treatment counselor. Based on what I was observing, it seemed that his behavior was directly related to academic frustrations. And so, what the reading specialist told me once they finally looked into it a bit more, she said, he can read when he wants to. And so, without a deep, or even, not even necessarily deep, but a good understanding of how dyslexia can work, you might think that because a child can read, they don't have a problem. And that might not be the case at all. I actually when we did, we briefly did Provision Academy as a homeschool academy. And one of the students that we had could read. And it wasn't until we started working together directly on language arts and reading skills that I found out he could read, but he couldn't decode words. So if it's a new word and an unfamiliar word, he couldn't break it down, and it, even with smaller words, there was difficulty. So back to the student. There were a couple of opportunities that should have been available. There was a free tutoring program in the same city. It was Tuesday nights. This particular student lived with his grandmother, who couldn't see at night. And so she could take him, but there would be no one to bring him home. So they were not able to take advantage of that particular opportunity because it was on site and they couldn't access it at that time. And then there was another program that happened during the summer. They work on academic skills as well as providing other fun activities. He was not eligible for that program because he had a behavior record. His behavior was not unmanageable. It was not unruly. He actually responded fairly well to redirection. But because he had stuff on his school record, they wouldn't take him. And so I think sometimes we forget that everybody doesn't have the same access we have. We want to be able to lower a barrier that some may have, and so we would like to offer transportation. And that's the three key pieces to the summer reading program are the EasyRead program itself, the volunteers, and the transportation. So if we can get those, we're good. Everything else is gravy. That's all I have for my part. Any questions? Comments, concerns, suggestions?
I had a question. So the EasyRead program is online based, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So during, I guess, the program that you're planning, is that going to be still conducted by a computer, online based, or is there a different medium that's going to be?
No, it'll still be done via computer.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Do we have provision for that, or is there a need for that?
There is a need for that.
Okay.
So we need at least 2 computers. And one great resource that we have in that area is Tidewater Community College provides a program called Success for Students. And so we can get desktop computers with the latest the latest systems and programs for $105 each. Yes.
Can you just touch upon again how you will, kind of big mouth. Can you just touch upon again how you are going to select the students for the program? I know you said that you already had some ideas from various sources as to which students would qualify.
Right. And so, a lot of it I think will be opportunity. So what we're going to do is have a caregiver interview to find out like what the experiences that the child has had. There will be an application, and it will depend on how many are submitted. Of course, if we get 8, 10, we'll have 8. That'll make it easier. I suspect that we will have a lot more. And so what we'll do is we'll have to decide like who may be most in need. In other words, students that may not be able to otherwise have those resources. I can tell you that we have somebody already who they don't have like a computer. And so this isn't a program you can do from a phone or an iPad. they don't have transportation. And, based on some other factors, it may be very beneficial for that particular student to be in an environment with other students. And so factors such as that will decide.
Well, so, yeah, you're good.
Let me bring you the mic.
Well, so, like, I guess, how are the applications, like, getting to people, though?
So that's why we need program development volunteers, number one.
Alright, good.
But also, so I have a couple of contacts with school counselors, maybe even one in Chesapeake. I have a couple of school counselor contacts. I have a couple of organizations. Hold on. I can't remember the name. The people who provide like in-home services and therapeutic day treatment. We have connections with those as well. Just today, I talked to someone. Actually, I talked to someone. Both who are connected to other organizations, and they want to talk about families for his board presenting the information to. So when we work, whether we work with schools or community organizations, we'd have a point of contact where we could get the applications to them and disseminate it that way.
And then, like, what would be the minimum amount of, like, volunteers that you'd need, like, starting during the summer?
It would depend on how they would be able to schedule it. Does that make sense? So what I'm looking for is about 4 per day. Right, but if like those 4 people can work the whole week, then I just need 4.
Okay, I see.
If they can only work 3 days a week, and then I have people that can work 2 days a week, then I need 8.
Okay.
Well, we need 8. Good question. Any other questions? You don't have any questions? I'm asking my husband.
No.
Okay. He always has questions, so I thought I'd ask him. I want to also address the cost, because that's a question that's come up from other sources when I've been talking to people. When we first started thinking about doing this, we were going to do it completely free. And we may still do it completely free. But we want to have some kind of buy-in, some type of commitment from the family where there's something they're investing. Research consistently shows that when people have, I literally cannot think of the phrase, there's a phrase for it, huh?
Buy-in?
No, that one too, buy-in is good, but that's,
When they're invested in something?
nope.
Sorry.
No, that's a good one, just, huh? No, that one,
Skin in the game.
thank
That's the
you.
one.
Yes, Kim came through. When people have skin in the game, they are much more likely to follow through. And so that's important because the program works best when people are committed.
Yep.
All right, so if there are no other questions, comments, concerns, or suggestions, we actually have somebody who's going to share with us So I'll let you tell your whole story. This is Melissa Marsiglia. Did I say your name right?
You did.
Okay, good.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
So just to give you a little bit of background, I met Shay through actually the Provisions Academy portion. I have 2 twin 11-year-olds, it's late, 11-year-old twin boys. And my boys were in private school for about 6 years, both of them with various learning disabilities. I have one son who has autism, and my other son has ADHD, obsessive compulsive disorder, and Tourette syndrome. And while they did fairly well in a private school sector, we started seeing issues academically where, as a Christian private school, they just did not have the resources to help my children in their various learning needs. So we actually pulled them from school October of last year. And so my husband and I, we both work full time, and we homeschool during the evenings. So I'm a nurse practitioner, and I work 10-hour days, and I get off around 5:30. My husband works at the shipyard. He gets off around 4 o'clock. And so he starts homeschooling shortly after he gets home from work, and then when I get home at 6, we both kind of team up and then homeschool my boys until about 8 o'clock. So it's not the ideal schedule, but for us to be able to do it, especially with working full time, it was really the only feasible way. Both of my boys are reading by their sight readers. They are boys that don't like to give a lot of effort. So phonics and learning phonics was just extra effort that they just did not want to mentally give. So they learned to read by sight. Many of the resources that Shay had shared tonight, specifically NILD, we used that program. We used something called Discovery, which is built off of NILD, very pricey, $10,000 a year average, and that was in addition to our private school tuition. So we used that with my one son, my autistic son, more so because I don't want to say that we felt like he needed it more, so we only got it towards him, but $20,000 a year on top of tuition was just something that we weren't prepared for. So he was the one that was struggling the most. So we actually did it for him only. And so, as she was saying, with sight reading, you only get so far. And so that's what we found is that, at first it was like, you know what, he's reading, and I'm happy about that. I hate to say it, but with having autism, the littlest gains are such, the littlest challenges and the littlest gains, you celebrate it no matter what. So we celebrated it because to us reading was important. We didn't care how he accomplished it as long as he was able to read. Math, different story. Totally different story. My other son, same thing. He was reading well, but with ADHD, again, he is one that if he turns to a page and there's a page full of words, he's going to shut down on you. He doesn't want to do it. So when we went to pick curriculums, we had to be very careful in picking curriculums. I hate to say it, that had minimal reading because we knew he wasn't going to do it. And it was going to be like pulling teeth. So Shay had came up online, we're in various homeschool groups together. And of course, I'm on her page for provisions. And I had seen that she was trying to promote the EasyRead program. And unfortunately, I'm one of those mothers that, if I see something I think can benefit my kids, I'm all, yeah, I'll do it. We'll try, I'll do it. My kids don't know this yet, but one day they'll learn. So mysteriously, EasyRead just showed up at our house one night. They were like, well, we're gonna do this. This is, your new reading program. So we are in I think we were in day 15, 16 today. My husband and I both went through the little training program, so when I'm not home, he can do it, and at night, if he's doing something with the other child, I can start, and vice versa. It was very simple. The training portion was very simple, actually. I did my training during my lunch at work. I was just watching the little videos and eating, so it was very, very, very simple. And then my husband did it one evening, took him minimal time. I think the thing that got me the most about the program is that, as I just mentioned, my one son, he just doesn't like reading. Like, was mentioned in the video, the struggle alone just turned him off to it. So he just didn't want to have anything to do with reading. But by the second night, he had requested, I think I sent Shay a picture. I was like, you will never believe this. He actually is requesting to do this. And it left my husband and I almost, I think our jaws were hanging, like, he's asking to do this. This is our same child, is this my kid? So that alone spoke volumes in that he was looking forward to it. There is actually, believe it or not, a fight over who does it first at night because he doesn't want Grayson to do it first because he doesn't want to see what that lesson is. So he has to go to the other room and do his schoolwork while Grayson is doing his EasyRead because he gets very upset. I don't want to see what the games are. I don't want to see what he's doing. I want to do it. I want it to be a surprise. And it's really, it's endearing to watch because, again, he's just making that effort. We are taking about 15 minutes. I think we hit about the 15-minute mark. I had to watch them because they did get so excited they wanted to keep going forward. So I had to slow them down. Okay, you cannot skip. You need to read everything. I think one night I caught him getting the wrong answer on purpose because there's a game called Gloop.
The glue drop.
Yes, and he wanted to see what happened to the man.
Zion has done that.
If he did the wrong answer, I said, no, you can't do that. So I had to make up a story. Miss Shay is watching your scores. I said, she is watching all of these scores, and if you get this wrong, she's going to think that you're not. So, yeah, he went, well, what happens to the man? Does he fall in? Does he drown? Is there blood? Is there guts? I'm like, no, this is not about that. Stop it. So, boys. I live in a house full of boys. So I think he did, one night I heard the man fall into the glue. I don't know, I think so that satisfied his inquisitiveness, but anyway, so we were very thankful. Like I said, we're plugging ahead every night. We're learning the little phonics are adorable and they're very easily learned, the ant pink pants and all of that cute little stuff. So that is my experience. I'll hand back over to Shay.
All right.
I think I'm back on.
Yep, yours.
And so I, like Melissa said, she messaged me like, the boys are doing well, they're enjoying it. I didn't know like the extent of that, so that was awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. And I can share that a lot of the reason it takes us longer is because Zion likes to play with the games. And there's one, have y'all done the one where the spelling one yet? I don't think that's at the beginning. It's not at the beginning. Okay, so Zion's progressed to the point where there's a monster game.
Oh, yeah, no, not yet.
I promise you he dies on purpose, just so he can like get eaten or like burned in the back. Again, very, very engaging. So they really do enjoy it. That wraps us up. I just want to thank you guys for coming out. Again, it's frosty. I wanted to let you guys know that you're all awesome. For those who are watching the live, you guys are awesome. Thank you for joining us. For those who will watch the live later, you guys are awesome. Okay, honestly, I think all people are awesome. Just gonna get that out of the way. But yeah, we are accepting prayers, we are accepting shares, we are accepting caring, praying, sharing, caring, literally every little bit helps. We also accept money. So any amount we take, in change, we take 5 figures, we take 7 figures, whatever you want to do. However you're led. We will put it all to good use, I promise. And so again, thank you for coming out. We're hoping to hold this again in a couple months. And in the meantime, you guys stay warm. Thank you so much.
All right.